Welcome to Survivor Not by Chance. I would like to provide the disclaimer as I always do on every episode. I am not a licensed therapist. I'm not a licensed psychologist. I am here to share my story, and hopefully my story can help someone make it to live another day. And I want to help heal a community that is struggling and dying in silence as a result of childhood trauma. So today's topic, we're going to discuss the victim versus the survivor. According to Google, a victim is a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action. Or it could be a person who is tricked or duped. According to Google, a survivor is a person who survives, especially a person remaining alive after an event in which others have died. So the reason I chose to name my podcast Survivor Not by Chance is because I chose to be a survivor opposed to a victim. Every person, when there are tragic situations that occur and happen to them in their lives, they can choose two situations. They can choose to be a victim and continue to live as a victim, or they can choose to become a survivor and live as a survivor. So, for example, a lot of people who have different illnesses such as cancer, and cancer is a horrible disease that takes so many people's lives. And when people actually make it through cancer and they are able to heal and recover from cancer, you never hear people say the victim of cancer. You always hear people say, I'm a survivor of cancer. Survivor meaning they chose to live despite the horrific illness that tried to destroy them and tried to kill them, because people have died from that disease. So they choose to be survivors opposed to victims of the disease. And according to childhood trauma, a lot of people in this generation are actually living as victims opposed to survivors. So I wanted to bring awareness to people who have suffered from childhood trauma and who need assistance in helping them move out of that victim status to become a survivor status. So my main goal and purpose is to help people transition from being a victim to being a survivor. So, a victim. Most people as victims feel powerless. They think, people are trying to do things maliciously to hurt them intentionally. They feel as if everyone's against them. No one's there to help them. No one cares about them. So let me give an example. You ever met someone who every time you turned around, they were having a conversation with someone else, and in the conversation, they was always blaming someone for the way they treated other people? So, for example, if someone's always mean-spirited towards people for no reason, or if someone always has a reason to be negative towards other people for no reason, those people are living in a victim status. They're not living in a survivor status. Those individuals may be attention seekers as well. So a lot of people post different things on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and all different social media platforms. And a lot of things that people post, they're trying to get other people's opinions. They're trying to get other people to feel sorry for them. They're trying to get other people to feel like, oh, poor person. What can I do to make this person feel better? It's a manipulative tactic. And the victim part of them that they're living in, because they're not living in a survivor status, they're living in a victim status. That victim status is creating is helping them create a platform for themselves so they can continue to get that attention that they never had growing up, get that attention that they seek as an adult. Because adults, we're not supposed to be attention seekers, but they have that inner child inside of them that's still living, and it's living outside of them. So they use these social media platforms as a way of seeking attention and getting attention. So for me, some people may say that I'm using my childhood experience as a way of getting attention. That may be their opinion, but my intent to use my childhood experiences is actually to help heal, to help bring awareness, to help allow people to understand that where they are, they don't have to always be that way. They can move forward and become a survivor opposed to a victim. But everybody's perspective is different. But if you do see somebody on social media saying, "Oh, I just don't know what to do with my life, and what am I gonna do? I have to do this and I have to do that." I'm trying not to be specific because I don't want anyone to feel as if I'm targeting them. But say, for example, someone who is always having issues in relationships. It could be relationship with friends. It could be relationships with family. It could be relationships with a significant other. And every time you turn around, this person's on social media blasting someone for what they did not do for them, or how they mistreated them, or how horrible of a person this person was to them, or how they don't have anyone to help them. They're doing everything on their own, and no one's good to them, and everyone is a problem, but they're always the good person. That's playing the victim. That's living in a victim situation, opposed to living in a survivor situation or survivor status. A lot of people use social media. Again, I continue to say it because social media has been more than just a social platform. It actually has become an attention craving platform for people who had childhood trauma. They did not know how to deal with it. They did not go to treatment and counseling and seek guidance from mentors, people who've experienced situations to help them get through it. They use social media as that platform to just broadcast all of their information and their business, opposed to actually seeking treatment and seeking help. So there are celebrities that do this. There are celebrities where their husband will cheat on them. They'll go and blast their husband on social media. He cheated. He did such and such and such. He did this. He did that. But they don't take responsibility for the parts that they played in that process, which you using social media as a platform to just broadcast this person, opposed to going to counseling and seeking help within yourself, within why you're hurting, and how do you get that hurt up out of you? How do you heal from that person cheating on you? Whether you decide to stay in that marriage or whether you don't decide to stay in that marriage, you need to seek treatment for yourself in the four walls of a counselor, or seek treatment from a mentor or someone who's been married for 35 to 40 years, who can counsel you and give you information to how you can heal to move forward from that situation. I do not believe in blasting my personal business in regards to my personal struggles on social media. I honestly used to when I was younger. I was in my early 20s. Absolutely, I did it. We all did it. But there comes a time and a place when you become an adult, and social media is to socialize with other people. Socialize means to engage with other people. It does not mean to have a negative engagement. To me, social media was created to have positive engagement. So with everything created, there's always going to be a negative way to have an engagement of any sort. So I personally use social media now for positive engagement. When I didn't know any better, when I was playing that victim status, when I was living in the victim status, I automatically used social media as a negative source to project my feelings and emotions. But at that time, as some people do today, they use that platform to gain that attention that they're lacking in their personal life, or that attention they were lacking as a child. Every child deserves attention. Some children may feel they're not getting attention that they need from one parent or the other, or both parents. So when you become an adult, if you never get the attention that you feel you deserved as a child, you're going to find a way of getting that attention. Now it's popular to go on Twitter and to post a tweet about something that it's on your mind. Just because something pops in your mind does not mean you should broadcast it on social media. It may mean you do need to seek guidance from someone who has information that can help you heal and process the information to move forward, but it does not necessarily mean that you should use social media for that platform at the time. So let's talk about a survivor and what a survivor does opposed to what a victim does. So a victim will use a platform or use a situation to manipulate someone into believing that woe is me and I need you to feel sorry for me to give me what I am lacking. A survivor, despite a situation, is not going to seek out attention for the event that happened to them. What they will do is they will continue to press forward, live through the event, and live after the event. So let's give some examples of what a survivor situation would be and what a victim situation would be. Okay, so a good example, I'm going to use myself. There are a lot of people who grow up in a two-parent household, and they have their mom, their biological mom, and their biological dad. And as a result, they're used to receiving certain things. And say, for example, another situation, say we're going to name two individuals. Say these are not any people that I know. These are just names that I came up off the top of my head. Say we have Amy. Amy grew up in a two-parent household, and she had her mom and her dad, and she basically grew up in a middle class. And then let's say Nicki, I'll just put myself in there. Nicki grew up without her biological mother and her biological father her entire life. They may have been there off and on, but they were never consistent until she graduated from high school. And she had to live in multiple different situations and multiple different houses and multiple different family members' houses, friends' houses, etc. Amy always lived in this one house that she grew up in, and she went to college. Her and Nicki met, they became friends. As a result of them becoming friends, they share experiences with each other. Now, Nicki, she didn't have her parents there for her, so she financially wasn't able to provide certain things for herself that Amy was. Amy, on the other hand, chose to blame her parents for why she didn't have a car when she was in college. It's all of her parents' fault. They should never do something like this to her. How could they send her off to college without a car? Nicki, on the other hand, never grew up with a car, so she didn't know what it was like to have one. So what she did was she basically just was used to getting on a bus, and so she continued to get on a bus, and she would go to college, go to her classes, never made excuses why she had to take the bus, never made excuses for not having the money to get some of her books. Sometimes she would ask Amy if she can copy some of her books. She would ask Amy if she can read through some of her books. She would ask Amy if she can use her books when she wasn't using them. So these two scenarios with Amy and Nicki. Amy chose to be a victim in the situation because she chose to victimize herself and blame her parents for not having a vehicle being provided to her in college. Nicki, on the other hand, was never afforded the luxury of having a vehicle, but she continued